All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. The next time I lead on our first segment on UNLV, it could be about a coaching change. That coaching change. That could be the next time we talk UNLV hoops to start the show. But, boy, there's a lot of news to get to today. Did you hear about this? Apparently, well, not apparently, Lindsay Graham blocking a resolution calling for special counsel Robert Mueller's report to be made public after it passed the House unanimously. You want to know what the vote was? Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer asked for unanimous consent for the non-binding resolution. The vote cleared the House at 420-0 to be passed by the Senate before they leave town for a week-long recess. Now, I think both Republicans and Democrats, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe both sides of the aisle want this report to be transparent and to be public. If Donald Trump did absolutely nothing wrong, and there was no Russian collusion, and this was a quote-unquote witch hunt like the president wants you to believe, and I don't know if that's true or not, the public deserves to see that. Just on the other side of things, if Donald Trump committed some pretty bad crimes, if people around him, including family members, committed some crimes, the public deserves to hear that as well. Lindsey Graham, to me, it is shameful what he did today. Shameful. How anybody could vote for this man is beyond me. You finally have something where both Republicans and Democrats all agree that they want this to be public. And Graham constantly is stressing that he supported the probe into Russian interference. Graham said that. He predicted that it would wrap up shortly, and he added that he'd been trying to find balance by supporting an investigation into Clinton-related scandals. This has nothing to do with Clinton. This has everything to do with Donald Trump and his administration. That's what this Mueller report is all about. Again, let me repeat, a 420-0 vote. Everybody is in agreement that this report should be made public. Would you agree, JD? This report should be public, right? It shouldn't be hid from people like you and me or anyone out there listening.
Well, public after the Attorney General decides what he wants to actually put out.
Right. But Lindsey Graham doesn't think so. Lindsey Graham thinks that he thinks that we should shun all this and put it underneath the rug. I wonder if he felt the same way about the Clintons. I wonder if he felt the same way about Barack Obama if there was an investigation into him. I wonder if he'd feel the same way. Is there anybody out there that thinks that this Robert Mueller report should not be public? Or do you agree with me that it absolutely should be public? What are your thoughts on that? We'll open up the phone lines at 257-5396. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. You know, of course, Chuck Schumer's upset about this. He fired back at Graham. It appeared to be using pretext for trying to block the Mueller resolution. He went on to say, I have absolutely no idea why a member of this body would object to this basic level of transparency, whatever their concern or other issues. I got to say, I agree with Chuck Schumer 110%. Now, I'm not a big Chuck Schumer guy, but he is absolutely right. Why would anybody in Congress, if you're a politician, if you're a voter, I don't care who you are. Maybe if you're Donald Trump, you don't want this to be public if he did something wrong. Why would anybody out there not want this report to be public? Why would you want our politicians to know, but not you sitting at home, the voters? How could anyone out there agree with Lindsey Graham on this? How? To me, it just makes absolutely no sense, and I don't think it makes sense to a lot of Republicans out there as well. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396, 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's start with Kelly. Kelly, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Kelly?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
Well, Trump will probably get it. I know how Trump thinks, I guess, and I'm pretty sure it'll come out because he wants everyone to see that there was no collusion.
Yeah, he does.
Now, I do disagree with you on one thing when you said this has nothing to do with Clinton. It has a ton to do with Clinton because she's the one who paid for the Steele report through Fusion GPS, which got this whole investigation going into Russian collusion. Okay, but explain to me exactly in this Robert Mueller investigation, what does it have to do with the Clintons? I mean, I know what you're thinking a little bit outside the box here. I'm talking specifically about this investigation. I'm talking about exactly what Robert Mueller is looking into, and he's not looking into anything involved in the Clintons. Robert Mueller's mandate was very specific. Donald Trump's campaign collude with the Russians to influence the election. That was his entire mandate.
And we don't know the answer to that yet because the investigation isn't over.
But the whole reason this whole thing started, the Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, Andy McCabe, Comey, that whole group right there, the whole reason it started was because of the Fusion GPS Steele report that Bruce Orr told all of them.
Let's just say you're right on that, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. Still, it doesn't change the question that I'm asking is, shouldn't this report be made public? And why is Lindsey Graham doing what he's doing?
I think, it's just basically a political move. They're that way because they already control the Senate anyway. So it makes the Republicans in the House look good, by voting unanimously. And then they have the Senate, they can block it. Yeah. And then they're done.
I have to say, though, I think this makes Lindsey Graham look like a complete buffoon. I really do. When you have a 420-0 vote, and we finally have something where Republicans and Democrats agree, and then you've got Lindsey Graham, who one day he'll go after the president for something he said, and the next day he'll wear a pair of knee pads, Trump knee pads. Yeah. I mean, he is so two-faced, just like so many other politicians. Kelly, hey, it's good to hear from you, Kelly. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much. Got to take some more calls.
Well, yeah, if Trump wants this to come out, of course he does. Because if it comes out and there's no collusion, or there's no proof of it,
well, then maybe he should talk to Lindsey Graham.
Then it proves him innocent. It makes no sense for this to happen.
Yeah, well, maybe he should have a conversation with Lindsey Graham, or maybe he already has. I don't know, but this is very peculiar, to say the least. I agree. If you're innocent and you're completely innocent, why wouldn't you want this report made public?
And he said, how many times is the witch hunt? He's probably tweeted that 40 or 50 times. After all those different tweets and after all this defending himself, if he somehow backs this not being a public record, that would be completely insane. Yeah, and that would be political suicide, by the way. Yeah,
well, I don't think that's going to happen. But again, let me just be clear. Lindsey Graham, to me, is a complete buffoon for doing this. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Go to JD. JD, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, JD?
Super, guys. 2 points. First of all, I agree. I like to see the Mueller report out. First point, Congress, the House. This is purely a political public relations move on their part. Number one, they have passed the laws, and they have control over the Department of Justice and implemented the rules that will prevent the Attorney General Barr from disseminating this information if it has certain criteria in there that he deems that are in detriment to national security or whatever. Mm-hmm. So Congress has made laws and made rules that they do not either understand themselves, because maybe they weren't there when those laws were made and they haven't taken the time to follow through. Second, in the national security, that 12 Republican senators have voted against the president. This is the power that the Congress, the House, and the Senate gave the president specifically in 1976, where he can declare martial law. He can tell what companies to build what and what have you. As Mark Levin has stated today and many other times, he has done nothing unconstitutional in regard to that. But these senators are making another public relations for their re-elections, what have you.
Which is a joke.
Or they don't understand the Constitution.
Yeah, which is sad.
Or they don't understand the laws that they themselves have passed.
Yeah, well, that's sad, JD, and that would not surprise me at all. You make some good points there, and we appreciate the phone call. We do agree today. Me and JD agree. Well, both JDs. My co-host agrees as well. This needs to be public. And if there's nothing there, like I say, if it's a nothing burger, there's nothing there, then good. The public deserves to know that. But maybe there is something there.
And President Trump wants the public to know that.
Well, then maybe he should have a conversation with Lindsey Graham then. 257-5396. Let's go to Nick. Nick, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Nick?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good, Nick. What's on your mind?
I just wanted a clarification on the rule here. Is it that the report gets turned over to the AG and the AG decides what to make public?
Correct.
So how come every time there's a rule, they want to bring it up in front of Congress and they want to vote on everything to litigate everything all over again so that this investigation will never end?
Well, I hope it does end, but at the same time, Nick, and I would hope you would agree with me, we want it to be done correctly. We want it to be done right one time so it doesn't have to be done again. And I think the reason why they're having these sort of votes is because we're going to look back on this history, right?
And after this comes up and after this comes out and nothing comes up, I would like for another president not to have to go through this again.
But you're making a huge assumption when you say nothing comes up.
I'm just saying hypothetically, if nothing comes up, I would like for another president, because this has definitely affected Donald Trump's presidency and the entire country.
Well, let's wait and see what happens before we
polarize the country.
Yeah. Nick, I hope I answered your question.
You did. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for the call, Nick. We appreciate it. 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. Let's go to Shannon. Shannon, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hey, you know what? I kind of agree with the last caller in a way. I see your point, but I'm afraid that they're just going to make it a big heyday over the news. They're going to nitpick it away, and it's just going to be a big another, bunch of circus. And I think that, I'd like to hear about it, but honestly, I'm not sure.
So you trust the people behind closed doors that they're going to withhold information, and you just want to trust our politicians. And as a taxpayer, you don't want to get all the information for yourself to know exactly what he did or didn't do.
I don't really care, honestly. He's doing a hell of a job for our country.
Wait, hold on.
I don't care what he does.
Hold on. What do you mean, quote, you don't care what he does? You're telling me that if he colluded with Russia, you don't care? You're telling me that if he broke
At this point, I really don't. I think it's just I don't believe he did, period.
Okay, well, you can believe that.
I'm just kind of, and that's just it. I'm a voting public, and I just don't believe
you can believe that.
There, and I do see them totally tearing it apart, and I'm just kind of tired of it all. It's been 2 years. I'm sick of it, and I want to move on.
Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question. For years, when we were investigating Benghazi, and there were 8 investigations led by Republicans, were you sick and tired of that as well? Did you say the same thing?
There was 8 investigations.
Yeah.
And then look what happened.
Right.
And then, the only time that we got to see anything happen was when there was a movie made. So, I mean,
I think I
wait till there's a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's
a movie or a Netflix documentary. That's what kind of pushes the envelope these days.
I think I sort of understand where you're coming from. In a way, I feel the same way in regards to politicians and investigations and wasted taxpayer money. I get where you're going with this, Shannon, and I appreciate the call. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, great call, Shannon.
But here's where I disagree with her. How can you say you don't care? If the president of the United States colluded, and again, we don't know, if he colluded with Russia, if he committed felonies, as a taxpayer and a voter, how can you say you don't care about that? This is the presidency, and again,
it also shows the weakness of our country, of our political system. If someone's actually able to manipulate it to that extent, which I don't think that is it possible that a couple hundred Facebook accounts were created by Russia? Yes. I don't think that Donald Trump ordered anybody to do anything like that. I don't think he owes anybody any money in Russia.
Well, again, it's a big if, and we're going to find out.
And I think that the Moscow building he was trying to build was just him expanding his empire, which is totally reasonable
but again,
for a serial entrepreneur like Donald Trump.
Okay, and that's your opinion. That's fine. But again, I'm not willing to make that assumption yet. I want to wait until this report is finalized. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn, thanks for calling in. How are you, Glenn?
Hey, Glenn.
Good. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Oh, not too much. I'm actually neither a Republican or Democrat. I'm a resident, and I've been here for 9 years. And anyway, as soon as Donald Trump, who I used to like when I used to watch the show that he had, and anyway, as soon as he was asked about Russia, like when he was running for president, and he said, "Oh, they're great," and he was pro-Russian. That just got my radar up immediately.
How about?
I mean, that's not the Republican way. I'm following
I agree.
politics, and every single thing he's done since has just gone on to prove that, in my mind, that he's in bed with Russia.
Glenn, I think anybody, and I'm glad you called, Glenn, and I'm glad you bring that up, because I think any logical person, Glenn, like yourself, who's not, way to the right or way to the left, would say, why does he always compliment Vladimir Putin? Why has he never said anything negative about Vladimir Putin? Why does he get on a stage with Putin and believes him over our own intelligence? It's a disgrace. So, yeah, I'm not making the assumption that there was collusion. What I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if there was, and let's hope we find out. Let's go to Brian at 257-5396. Brian, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hey, Brian.
Excellent. How you fellas doing?
Good, my man. What's on your mind?
Brian, you were fired up yesterday.
Just a wee bit.
That's okay. I like that. I like the passion. What you got for me today?
You do know why Lindsey Graham said and did what he did today.
Well, of course I know why. I know what he said.
Why is it?
I mean, look, he's concerned about the security of this country, so he claims, and he's also concerned that certain stuff that comes out can hurt this country more than help it. And, here's what I think he's doing. I believe he is making excuses. And I think he's playing political games, like a few callers have called in and said, this is a political game, and guess what? This isn't about games. This is about being transparent. I don't care what Lindsey Graham says or his excuses. The public deserves to know. If there's nothing there, the public deserves to know. If there's something there, the public deserves to know. Nothing should be hid from the public, taxpayers, period.
Okay, but we already know that this is nothing but a political stunt by Schumer and company, because as JD has already pointed out to you, it goes to William Barr. He's the one that makes the decision as to what and what will be shown and when it will be shown.
So
this vote today has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on whether or not that report is going to be made public.
Unless...
And here's what Lindsey Graham said today. What he did is he went to the floor and filed an amendment to the version that they would take up on that vote for Schumer, calling for Attorney General William Barr to appoint a new special counsel to investigate the misconduct in the Department of Justice over Hillary Clinton's email investigation
I understand.
and the FBI surveillance of Carter Page, which was illegal.
Right. I understand that. The problem is that these people are not in office anymore. Hillary Clinton's not in office anymore. I'm not saying she shouldn't have been investigated, but he's trying to deflect, and we're talking about the Robert Mueller investigation in regards to Donald Trump and his administration, and we're not talking about Hillary Clinton, but Lindsey Graham and many people on the right want to talk about the Clintons. And if you bring up something about Donald Trump, somebody will talk about Barack Obama. Barack Obama is not the president. Hillary Clinton is no longer the Secretary of State. She's not running for president. We should be focusing on the Mueller investigation, Brian. And again, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, Brian. I got to get to some other callers. I appreciate your call, but got to get to some other callers.
Thanks for the call, Brian.
Yeah, always good to hear from you. 257-5396. Again, the number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Sandy. Sandy, thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm fine, but, this whole thing to me is so disturbing that people wouldn't care. How in the world could you not care what the President of the United States may have done and is getting by with? The moral compass is so skewed. How could you not care? This man is supposed to be the fabric of honesty and integrity that our children are supposed to look up
Sandy,
to.
you could not have said it any better. And let me give you an answer of why somebody, and I'm just going to make an assumption here. That's fine. That's what I do. I make assumptions. For somebody that calls up and says they don't care, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that they are a right-wing Republican, that they are a huge Trump supporter, and they are one of those people where Donald Trump said I could shoot somebody on 51st Street and they'll vote for me anyway. Those are the people that he was talking about, Sandy.
But, you're correct. They're the people who say it's okay for the bully to come on the playground and he doesn't like what everybody else does. So not only does he take his ball, he takes your ball and he leaves.
Right.
This is okay. When did this become okay? What the hell have we become of a society
I agree.
that we say this is okay? We're better than this.
I agree. And, unfortunately, the excuse I hear when Donald Trump says something idiotic or disrespectful, aren't you happy with the economy? Aren't you happy with, unemployment numbers? At what cost? How about if you don't embarrass the country? Sandy, I could not agree with you more, by the way. And thank you so much. Good to hear from you. Thank you for calling in. I think Sandy comes from a very logical perspective, a very logical perspective. And I think people should care on both sides.
She was more logical today than yesterday.
Well, look. I'm talking about both sides of the aisle. I don't care if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. Don't you want the truth? And I know a lot of these politicians are out for themselves. I don't care if you have an R or a D next to your name. I always say it, the two worst words in this country, no, they're not FCC violations, Republican and Democrat, because too many people make decisions in this country what party they're in, rather what's best for the country. And if somebody calls in and somebody says, I don't really care. I don't care. To me, that's troubling. And I understand where that caller was coming from. You know, maybe perhaps just tired and upset with politics in general. And a lot of people are. I get that. But to say you don't care, I don't understand. We got about 1 minute, so let's take one more phone call. Let's go to Russ. Russ, I got about a minute for you. What's on your mind?
Well, we're getting all worked up about this little resolution they did today. But if Congress was serious about taking the authority away from the Attorney General and making this transparent, then why didn't they just write a new statute for
I agree.
special counsel?
I agree.
And just make it to where it's all transparent.
And they're not going to do that, Russ. You know why? Corruption. That's why. I agree.
But it's okay that we can individually pick the politicians we like or dislike and treat them differently from other people. And that's part of the problem. Republican or Democrat, they're all crooked. We all know they're crooked.
Most of them. Yep. Most of them.
You're right.
Yeah, I agree. Russ, I agree. I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I wish that these politicians would be more transparent. I wish there weren't so many shady deals behind closed doors. It's sad, Russ. It really is. But unfortunately, that's the state of politics that we live in today. Russ, good to hear from you. I appreciate the phone call. We'll take a few more phone calls on the other side of the break. 257-5396, the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. Oh, yeah, I do want to get back to Tucker Carlson and his racist, homophobic remarks. How he's still on TV is beyond me. 257-5396. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this on the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.